Good morning, good evening, namaste, hola, bonjour, geremaid, and marhaban. This is Namya, Joshi, your host for the day. Welcome to episode 64 of the podcast, Each One, Teach 10, an amazing world of STEM. An inspiring one where we'll be discussing that STEM is part of every day for every kid. We all will learn together how to build a STEM culture. Well, for today, my guest is Ms. Elizabeth Polo, who is an educator, a 2019 Teacher of the Year Region Finalist, 2021 Cambridge University Press Dedicated Teacher Award, Professional Development Presenter, a 2022 Magnet School of America District Teacher of the Year, a Flipsider, a Wakelet Ambassador, and a Class Dojo Mentor. It's my honor to have you today here, Ms. Elizabeth. How are you doing today?
Hello, Miss Namya. You are awesome sauce, and thank you for having this space for us today. I'm honored here to be able to share with you today. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And how's the weather been there today?
Very hot, but it's still beautiful. The sun comes out, the clouds are swaying, and the birds are singing, so it's always beautiful. How about on your side of the world?
It's like a good morning right now for me, and it's not that it's a little bit cloudy, but the weather is nice. At least it's not hot.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. Well, whenever you need some warmth, you can come over here.
Sure. We just had like a lot of high temperature a few days ago, but it rained yesterday, so it's fine today.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. All right, so our audience are eagerly waiting to know more about you and the work that you're doing. So could you please tell us more about yourself?
Well, thank you again for having me. Like you said, my name is Elizabeth Polo. I am born and raised in the state of Florida here in the United States. And I have attended school, and I'm here in my same hometown. And I'm able to now get back to my community by being an educator. I have taught first grade through 12th grade students. My passion is with my favorite little people, which are my first grade students. And I have completed my 15th year. I'll be entering my 16th year this school year when we begin now in mid-August. So I'm excited for that. Like you said, I also give professional developments, and I'm a presenter. And I work along with the leadership team at my school, as well as presented in the district-wide. I've also been able to present in our district, which is the third largest across the United States. In conjunction to that, I have written many curriculums for our district for the advanced academics, gifted and talented students. And I'm currently almost done with writing another curriculum based on a published book by a friend of mine who became an author. And the book is all about social-emotional learning. And she has given me the honor to be able to create this curriculum for kindergarten through second grade students, so they can be able to enrich that social-emotional learning component with the book that she wrote. So I'm excited for that, and to get that out to the public to continue to make our world a little better and more awesome sauce place to live in.
Thank you so much. We're waiting a lot for the book. And moving to the next question that I have for you is, how can you give your students a sense of agency in the learning environment?
That is such an important question. I love to create, and I do create, a brave space from even before they walk in the first day of school. A space where the student can be able to share and to collaborate and to come together to share the voices, as well as learn from each other, because that's also very important, to actively listen. We always have a hello greeting in the morning, which is by my door. On the entrance, I put 4 little circles and 4 little visuals, and the student can choose how they wish to say hello to me. At the first week of school, I do a lot of modeling because, of course, I teach my first grade children. And so I model for them, and they tap the one that they like. For example, we have the hand wave. We have our heartful greeting, which you just put your hand on your heart and you rub it. We also have a toe tap, where you touch your shoe with the other one and you tap, your toe with the other students. And then we have a thumbs up or 2 thumbs up, whichever you choose. So the student has those choices when they come in. I greet them always with a heartful greeting. I take my hand, I put it on my heart, and I rub them, and I tell them, "Good morning, Namya. I'm so happy to see you today. Happy Thankful Tuesday," as an example. Exactly, just like that. And so, and every day is, something, M for Monday, Mindful Monday, which leads me to, we always have a mindfulness space in our classroom. I do a lot of mindfulness incorporation to help them. I teach them what it is to be mindful as we first start off learning what it is and how to practice it. And then I have a little grounding space for them. And what it looks like is I have a little piece of artificial grass on the floor, and I have a mirror in my classroom. And around the mirror, I have all these positive affirmations. For example, I am smart, I am kind, I am loving, I am passionate, I am beautiful, I am handsome. And that's posted all the way around the mirrors. So after that, if they need a moment, I teach them how to go there, and they could take off their shoes, they could take off their socks, and then put their feet on the floor, and they understand what is grounded. Grounded in a sense of, I need to get myself together, my thoughts together. I need to take a moment to take a deep breath, and then get themselves grounded. They look in the mirror if they choose to, read those positive affirmations, or talk to themselves, write a note, put a sticky note, whatever the case may be, whatever makes the student feel comfortable. That way they have that sense of ownership. That way they can cultivate their own greatness, come back to get grounded and then focus on whatever the material may be at hand or the task, and be able to create that growth mindset space of belonging. I belong here. So incorporating that, and that's daily. We do a mindfulness practice every morning. So we have a morning mindfulness. And then every time there's a transition or something new happens, or those special days where we have fire drills, or here in the United States, we have something called Code Reds, things like that. So all of that to get the students settled, we have those mindfulness moments. I also like to play a lot of music, and also be able to put a candle and light it up away from them, of course, in a safe space, just to give them that aroma, to put all those multi-sensory skills to task, to make you feel like home, because it is home. And and we explain as soon as they walk in, we, meaning the students and myself, we explain as a collaborative whole that we are a family, and every person is essential. Every person is valued. Every person has something to say and to listen. And we know how to take turns, and we share our thoughts. And then from there, we cultivate and continue to manifest into the other greatness, because the academics will come easily. I strongly believe that once the student knows that I am safe and I belong here, then we can go ahead and they can learn the arithmetic, they can learn the reading, they can learn the international education that we do at school, which I also developed that curriculum for my class, and so forth like that. So once they're grounded and they're safe and they have that belonging, then everything else just swiftly goes on its own. It just manifests on itself. Great question, by the way.
Thank you. And even your answer, I'm really inspired by that you're focusing upon how to encourage choice and foster, a supportive and inclusive classroom culture where you're providing meaningful and relevant learning experiences for your students. And it is in every single way incorporating their voice and choice. And also you mentioning about, sharing and learning at the same time, because when you're sharing your voice, you also need to hear from the other person, and that's how we share, learn, and grow together. And I'm really fascinated by the hello greeting. That's really interesting, that you have your hand on your heart, you do a handshake, a high five, or do a thumbs up, touch your toes, and that's really amazing. And you also mentioned about giving tags to different days, you talked about Mindful Monday, wherein you're using you have a mirror in your classroom wherein you're putting out positive affirmations. When our school started, I think last year, in the entrance of the junior school, that goes from grade 1 to 5, we had a mirror, and then we there were some words I am, and then it's kind, smart, beautiful, like just you said, and then there was a mirror in between. So you look at that, and then you feel happy that yes, I am, and I don't have to feel down. Because I'm a good person, and if I can also become a better version of myself. And that's amazing that you're talking about, being grounded and focusing upon growth mindset, so that you're providing your students sense of belonging in the classroom, making them feel like home using a candle, or making them feel like they're a family where every person is valued. And like you also mentioned that the academics can be done, but that before that, one student needs to feel that their opinions are very valid in the classroom, and they feel like, yes, I'm safe here. So that's really amazing, and I really loved all your ideas about how you can give your students a sense of agency in the learning environment in your classroom.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, and I value all of your wisdom. And I also like to put around the classroom pictures of them, quotes. I like to learn about them and what their favorite things and their family and stuff like that, and then put things around the classroom that is meaningful to them. It could be a poster, it could be a stuffed animal. I have something called like reading buddies, which is just stuffed animals, a collection of them, or blankets, just something to make it feel homey, like little bean bags, things like that. Little cushions, and they really, really admire that, and they look forward to that. And then when I do the hello greeting in the morning to check in, I'll say something silly, and if they're wearing like a new bow, or if they have on a new uniform and they got a haircut, or it's dress up day, or it's like a sports day, whatever the case may be, and they bring that in, I highlight that. I'll say, wow, I really think that you're, like one time I had a student come and he was fully dressed like a football player, and I loved it. And he came and I was like, I love your football uniform. And he just walked in there with his head up high, his shoulders, all pushed back, and with the football equipment and so forth. And he and all the other students like, wow, this is cool. And they were asking him questions, about the uniform and things like that. But just giving them that positive boost. And then on the contrary, because we have to be realistic. Sometimes students come to school feeling sad or worried or anxious or stressed. In the school where I'm able to share with my students, we have a lot of military families. And so the students get to travel a lot. In conjunction to that, a lot of the parents also are deployed wherever it may be. And it could be in the middle of the year. It could be at the beginning, whenever, the case may be. Like I had this one student, sweet as pie, love her dearly, and her mom was deployed after the holidays. And she came back here, and she showed up in our classroom as a surprise on the very last day of school. They called me from the office on my cell phone, because obviously we didn't want it to announce. We have a speaker, inside the classroom. And they said to call on my cell phone. So I did. And she goes, the student's mom is here. She just arrived, and she would like to go surprise her. I said, yes, please come. And she walked in, and it was just, how sometimes you see it on the news. It was just like that. It was so powerful. We cried. I had chills. She had chills. It was just a beautiful experience. That was done from the cultivation that we built from the first day. You see, so all of that growth that we did, and at the end to have that powerful ending of the school year, for me, I will never forget the ending of this school year that we just finished, because that was truly, truly impactful. But that comes from creating that safe space. And the mom, her and I spoke, what are we going to do next? How are we going to make her feel comfortable, her daughter, and things like that? Because of course she will come to school sad, or worried, or things like that. So then what do we do? How do we respond? Do we ignore it? Or do we acknowledge it? We have to acknowledge it, so that way the student can feel heard, can feel validated, and say, okay, someone heard me. And I'll tell the student, I see you and I hear you. Let's talk about this. How can I help you? And then we take it from there. So we just can't ignore it. We have to really validate, the person as a complete whole from the inside out. And then the academics will come in. So yes, very good point. very, very important.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing that. And even I felt really, great when you mentioned about that the mother came and surprised the child. I have seen some of the videos to that, and like the emotions of the students, and they start crying, and not even the person, but students around them will start crying. So I can imagine that situation, and that's really lovely that you actually did that in your school.
Of course. Like I said, I am focused on not only the student, but the entire family, because it's a collective whole. It's a partnership. It's with the student, myself, and the entire family, whether it's the immediate family or the extended family, the blended family, whatever, and whoever. Everybody is welcome. Everyone belongs here, because together we can empower much better and be able to be more
together
successful.
We can do so much more.
Exactly. Just like you say, each one teach 10. Exactly.
Yeah, thank you. So I would love to ask you, like, how do you encourage curiosity or inquisitiveness in your students, or assist them in discovering their areas of passion?
Well, it's funny because first grade always has something to say, right? And so, and it's always an adventure and an awesome sauce experience in our classroom and in our home, I should say. At the beginning of the year, I like to start off with asking them questions. I need to know who you are. What do you like? What you don't like? Your favorite things, and incorporate all that in a lesson. And I take notes. And so, for example, at the beginning of the year, we have a little project, which is all about me. Very simple, but very powerful. So I provide each student with a little lunch bag, and I personalize a little sticker with their name and a little picture that looks like them, like a little clip art of a child that looks similar to them. And I send it home. And the objective is for the student to collect 3 or 4 small items that fit in the bag and bring it to share. It could be a picture, it could be a toy, it could be a book, it could be something they drew, it could be a leaf from outside because maybe they love nature, whatever the case may be. And they bring it, and then they start to share. And while they do that, I am actively listening. And I have a piece of paper, and I start writing my notes. Oh, today, this student said they like dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are really, really important in first grade, by the way. So dinosaurs, computers, a lot of gaming, with the Minecraft. So I make a mental note. I write that down. And then I take that and I tie it into my lessons and provide students with choices and model there's more than one way to achieve the same goal. There's more than one way to solve a problem, let's say, or to propose a problem, and then you come up with the solution, you see? And so be able to give them that positive reinforcement through that multi-sensory approach of connection. There's a big lesson that a big unit, I should say, that we always do. Since I teach international education, we focus a lot on Africa. So we learn where it's located, the geography in relation to where we live, how to get there, the things that are around it, and then we hone in on a certain aspect of Africa. So for the past few years, we have taught and we have learned about Tanzania. And then I really learned this really cool fact, and where it's all the archaeology sites where the fossils were first discovered, and mankind and things like that, in a place called Olduvai Gorge. So I work with the professor here. He gave me the information. He moved to Tanzania. He sent me more information. Our class is connected, so we got that live experience and that cultural from United States to Africa and back and forth. And then I said, you know what? Since we're so curious about bones, we're going to make them. So I grabbed simple materials, right? And because I believe STEM is not only the technology part, it's actual hands-on making that connection. And so I use plaster and water, and I got an old skeleton, and I broke it apart into the bones, and I put, like the skull or the femur or the fingers or the toes, and we learned those are phalanges and things like that. And I put it out. And so out of those materials, we make the mold for the bones. We let them dry. The next day we paint them. And then I have a parent make like a big square box to look like an archaeology site. And with sand, I put the bones under and I cover up with the sand. We have paintbrushes, and then they have to discover the bones. And then we invite our other friends to come over in the other first grade classes and kindergarten to come over, and they become archaeologists. So they're making that hands-on connection, that curiosity, and the conversation starts. And then they start using all these big, awesome, soft vocabulary words that just gets them all excited, and then discover the bones. And I'm like, well, what is this one? And they'll say the proper term, not just like, oh, this is a finger. No, this is a phalange, and so forth. And so just having them know that they created that and having that ownership just gives that student and then the whole group so much more power. And then when they teach it to the younger students, wowza, it's like a double awesome sauce for everyone there, right? So just taking that and that opens up the door to more questions. What are the characteristics of this skeleton of an animal versus a human, and so forth, and interaction like that. So that opens up, the world, asking more questions. I like for them to post on little post-it notes in our parking lot or in their journal, whatever the case may be, on exit tickets, or just a simple jot, or even just an open conversation where it's collaborative with each other. And then their minds just start, and you can see and I tell them, wow, I can see the fireworks coming out, and they just, they start laughing, and we do a little firework, little clap together. We clap our hands together at the same time. I say 3, 2, 1, clap, and then the fireworks go out and they explode. So that's a moment to celebrate. And then to celebrate their passion, to celebrate their success, or to celebrate their challenges. Because I tell them, I go, we have to honor our challenges too, so we can learn and grow from that. And that is only going to make us stronger. It's going to make us better. So I learn from you, and I make it a point to learn something new every day. So learning from them, they're like, what do you mean you're going to learn from me? I go, yes, you are the teacher. You are going to teach Miss Polo today. Or I have a game that I play called Are You Smarter Than Miss Polo? Right? And they love it. And it's so much fun. And if they can get this question correct, then the whole class gets a point. And at the end of the week, if they have more points than I do, then, it's treasure box or a special lunch with the teacher, or we have a movie day or ice creams for snacks, whatever the case may be, just to honor, that celebration. And you can see their brains just working and just, being cultivated in that learning and that curiosity and discovering the unknown. And what if this, and I say, well, if you heard something, let's talk about it. Because sometimes they'll bring in things that they've heard, or like they heard their parents' phone or their piece of technology with the news. They'll come and they'll question. Like, we have a lot of hurricanes here, and last year throughout the school year we had 3 school days without school because of 3 different storms or 2 different storms, something like that. And they wanted to know why. I said, well, now we're going to study hurricanes. Why do we have to stay home for this amount of time? And it wasn't in the lesson plan, but it just builds that curiosity. And then we just went with the flow. So I look at myself more like a facilitator. And I'm there to support every student. I'm there to guide every student. I'm there to encourage a lot of positivity, a lot of, I believe in you. I know you can, I have little rewards and stickers and pencils and so forth and things like that, just to continue having them wonder what if, and I want more. I want them to come to school and get up in the morning and say, I need to go to school today. I don't want to, I need to, because I want to learn. I have this waiting for me. It's a lot of hands-on projects in my classroom, and that really cultivates the entire student population. And then they take it home to their parents, because I tell them, when you go home, guess who's the teacher? You are. You're going to teach your mom and dad how to do this new math. You're going to teach your mom and dad about, what is an archaeologist, and, the bones that we study, and what animals don't live in Africa, and why not, and and things like that. So there's just so much power there that you can do and be passionate about it. It's just taking that one moment and just getting that information, taking time to really, really listen to each student, because there's a lot. And I understand, last year I had 25 students all to myself. 1 year I had 32. 1 year I had 36. So my numbers are really high, and that's okay. We learn, we build that brave space from the beginning, and then we take it from there.
Absolutely, that is really, really awesome. That when you are starting with your new year, you start off with asking them questions to know more about them, and then I really find the project all about me very inspiring. That you're giving them a bag with a cute little picture of them and their name, and they go back home, put 3 items in that, and then share about them with those items, so that you can know more about them. And I think the bones activity is also really interesting, that you're making them and then using treasure hunt like to find them with archaeology. And I think that's when you mentioned that the students that have already done the activity can take the ownership to teach the ones who haven't. And that, like you said, is awesome sauce. And also, like the fireworks that we mentioned, that is moment for them to celebrate their passion, their success, and of course their challenges as well. Because when we get through challenges, that's what makes life interesting. And I think that activity, Are You Smarter Than Miss Polo, that's really interesting. So I've seen that you're doing many different activities to encourage students and to engage them, and that's really, really interesting. Because I wish I was in your class, because I didn't have that many activities. We just used to do simple activities. But I guess the ones that you're doing are really amazing.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. Well, you're welcome to Zoom in, to come in through Team, whatever we can connect and be able to have you, in our classroom. And I would really love to have the students connect with you and to see your empowerment. You're this young, vibrant, successful leader. And I mean, I'm just cultivating, the first day I saw you and I said, wow, here is a superstar. So, and I just can't wait to see you, when you become an adult. I mean, it's just going to continue to get better. So I know, I admire your work, and I learn from you,
Thank you.
and I'm an adult. So thank you for sharing that. And I see your passion. I see the way you care, the way you take your time. Like, for example, I told you this is my first podcast, so I'm nervous and I'm just going to, be frank and honest. And you're like, it's okay. I'll walk it. And you have walked me through it, so thank you. Thank you so much for
Thank
that.
you so much. Means a lot to me, Ms. Elizabeth. All right.
So cute.
Thank you. Moving on to my next question for you is, how have the lessons you have learned affected the way you learn actually, and how have you been able to transfer that to the students that you have been teaching?
Well, I would like to begin with me as a child. As a child, I was not understood in the classroom. I was forgotten. I was put in the back because I didn't speak English. English was not my first language. So I just wasn't understood. I wasn't seen. I wasn't heard. And I didn't like that feeling, because I always wanted to be heard, and I wanted somebody to see me and to help me so that I can learn to be successful in another language, just as I was successful in my first language. So that challenge for me inspired me to say something has to be done better. And this was me as a young child. I remember kindergarten crying all the time. I didn't want to go to school because I didn't feel included. Same thing with first, same thing with second. It wasn't until I got to third grade where, again, now you're talking about 3 years, and I've just been passed down from one class to, one grade level to the next grade level. And when I finally got to third, there she was, my awesome sauce teacher, who her name is Mrs. Pepper. I didn't know what the word pepper meant in English, and I knew what it's in Spanish. And so when I learned what is in English, obviously, that seasoning, I said, wait a minute, she is the seasoning that I need to help me. And she took me under her wing and she taught me English. She will pull me out of other classes, like if I went to PE or something like that, and she would sit there and take her time to teach me another language. She would even stay with me after school. She would ask my grandmother, if I can stay for, 15, 20 minutes, whatever the case may be. And she'll have me listen to books or listen to songs, match the words, do a lot of color and highlighting. And for her to take that time to help me and see me because she saw me, I said, yes, this is who I've been waiting for. it took a little bit, and that's okay. I'm thankful for the previous journey, because then now I'm able to be more grateful for this present gift that I was able to receive. So having that awareness of knowing what it is not to be seen, not to have someone see me or hear my story, I said, I'm going to take that empowerment and turn it around. And as I grew up, I knew I always wanted to be a teacher, because I would play school with my siblings. My sister did not like it. Neither did my brother, but that's okay. So we played, and I was a teacher, and that was it, and I would walk around with my colors and my crayons and, and this and that. And I would mimic Mrs. Pepper at home. I would, come home and practice. And that's how I built the English language. And then she would tell me what shows to watch, and she'll talk to my grandmother in Spanish. And then my grandmother, who never learned English, her and I would come together to sing the songs and, children's shows and things like that, to be able to cultivate, that extra language that I needed, that extra support. And with that, I made it a passion I want to continue to learn. I need to learn. I need to challenge myself. So giving me time also to reflect. I think reflection is a very important part of the growing process, because, that gives me insight on what I have done, where I would like to go, and how do I get there. And so learning all those lessons, so that way I can be my authentic self and bring myself to my own dance. And I invite others to come and dance with me, so we can have fun in the process, as well as empower each other. So learning all those lessons every day is just a way of my form of being grateful for my journey, for growing through that process, and at the same time building that passion into my classroom. So that way every student is seen and heard. Not only the student, but their families. Because they're there and they rely on me, and they have these huge high expectations of me, which is great. And guess what? Their expectations are just as high, because we have to work together. We're a collective whole. And having that, and then we can take that, and I can take my narrative, take your narrative, boom, put it together. And it's this beautiful anthology of collections, and having that open conversation. That's why conversations for me are also very important, because I learned something from that. There has to be something, and also there has to be a why and a purpose. And knowing that, then we could take it, to the next step, and give time to reflect, to make myself better. I wake up in the morning, I said, okay, what am I grateful for today? And at least 2 or 3 things. What am I going to focus on today? 2 or 3 things, or one thing, right? It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a superhero. And how am I going to do that? And then at the end of the day, I reflect, what was my goal for today? And I write it down. I have to write down, because I forget things, and that's okay. So I write it down, stick my little post-its or my journal, whatever the case may be, or even on your phone, because now, everything with technology, and take it from there. And then at the end of the day, I go back and I reflect, well, what happened today? A lot of times it doesn't happen, and that's okay, because life is life, right? We have to live it, be present in the moment, and take it from there. So we take that, and then we just make it better, tomorrow. Okay, today I didn't have a good day. That's okay. Be okay with that. Be aware of it. Be okay with it, and then move forward. Because if you sit there and dwell on it, it's not going to do any good to anybody. It already happened. It's done. If, of course, if something was said wrong or something, of course, we'll apologize, and things like that, and make our situation, our relationship better. But then also continue to cultivate your authentic self. And like I said, I bring myself to the dance. Here's my dance, and here's my open invitation, and everyone is welcome. So that's the learning process that I believe is a 2-way communication, or 3-way, our collective whole, however many people consist of our family, and just bringing us together, unified. For me, it is extremely, extremely awesome sauce important.
That, I must say, is really, really motivating. That as being a child, you always wanted to be heard. And listening to you, I think you have very great English. I never thought English was a second language. And awesome, and you always wanted to be heard and be assessed. And I have always felt really bad when people say that they didn't feel included, because I've always had this thing that everyone should be treated equally. But then you got your season that you need, Mrs. Pepper, who helped you out and helped you build the English language by teaching you simple words. And like you mentioned, enacting like her and listening to rhymes or little songs like in English with your grandmother helped you to become better in English. And like you mentioned that, reflection is the most important part of growing process. And that's when you're reflecting, you can be your authentic self. And these are some lessons that you mentioned, that you need to be grateful and grow through that process, because challenges are just part of life. When you get through them, then you feel like you have accomplished something in your life. And that's what you're applying in your own classroom, that every student and family in the classroom that you are teaching can be seen, that you have a why, there's a purpose. And like you mentioned, that in the morning, this is my goal today, what am I going to do? That's your ikigai, that you have a focus to get up in the morning. That's your being, and that's your, what your purpose is to do today. And then at the day end, you're just writing out that I did this. And when you're doing that, actually, even like I do a gratitude diary, like before sleeping, I write down whatever things I did today. And that gives me like a feeling of accomplishment, that I did many things. And besides that, you're thanking God for giving you the opportunity to do those things. So that's really amazing.
That is really, really important. That you're doing that now that you're so young, because then it's just going to continue to be a natural process for you as you continue to get older. Because there's a quote, and I don't want to get it wrong, but it's something to the effect of, the more grateful you are, the greater abundance you receive. Mm-hmm. You see, and so with that, and again, I hold that dear. I hold many quotes dear to my heart, and that's just a constant reminder of being grateful. And there comes that mindfulness, being aware of that, and be able to tie that and being present and focused in the moment, because we can't take back this time. The time is now. You and I are having this conversation, and we're both present here in the moment. And I love the way you recap everything that I just said, and then I come back and I give you that feedback, and that's active listening and participation and collaboration, really. And with that, it's I know what I'm going to write in my journal today as soon as I get off. So thank you for that, Namya. I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Ms. Elizabeth. And moving on to my next question, I would love to ask you that if you could have one superpower, what would you want to have and why?
Okay. Does it have to be real, or
it can be anything?
Whatever.
It can be imaginary too.
Okay, that's a good question. Okay, one superpower. Well, I love the phrase "awesome sauce," and it just naturally comes out in my conversations, even when I'm not at work. And my family is like, "Okay, you're not at work." I'm like, "Wait." So I think that one of my superpowers is to know the amazingness and the awesome sauce that everyone has within themselves, and to be able to shine that, and just be able to know it when you walk into the room. There's a quote by Dr. Maya Angelou that says, to be a rainbow in someone's cloud. Yes. And I love to be exactly right. And I love to be that rainbow. When I walk into a room, you just sense that energy,
Exactly.
And take it from there, right? And of course, we're going to have our down days, and that's okay, but then you pick yourself back up and you say, I can do this, Elizabeth. Today's going to be a great day. It's okay. I see that, you're feeling sad or whatever, but we're going to make it better, So if I have one superpower, it's just to make everyone know and realize how awesomely awesome they are. And those that need more help, to be able to provide that for them so they can find that growing path for them and deal with their awareness. And then, okay, how can we make this better? Set goals, be flexible, built on your strength. Take ownership for that, because I strongly believe that from the tiniest human to the eldest human, everyone has something to bring to the table. And I love to listen and just to watch and observe. and I'm the quiet one in my family. I sit, I listen more. And then when I see it's my turn, then okay, because sometimes, my energy is a little bit too much, and that's okay, because I come in there with, ready to go, and, things like that. So I have to know how to contain myself at times. And like when I go to work, everybody knows, oh yes, there comes Miss Polo, and that's the sunshine that I needed, and I'll give everybody hugs and kisses, or I'll come out and leave them a little sticky note, something silly, or like my awesome sauce stickers, or a little happy face on a post-it note, whatever. So just to make every person feel value, because I strongly believe the importance of humanity. And I think that's lost now in the world with everything going on. So I think we need like a reboot. And with that, it's just really finding the sense of the human kindness and knowing that every person is this unique individual that has something to bring. So let's listen, let's collaborate, let's share, and let's empower together. And then at the end of the day, everybody is going to feel better and live in a world that is safer and healthier. Our environment is healthier. That's going to bring more flowers and trees and animals and insects that also have to live here, so that we can all live together. So I think that would be my superpower.
That's an amazing superpower, like to see an awesome sauce and everybody, like, what is their passion and what are they really good at to bring to the table. Like you mentioned, the tiniest human and the eldest person, everybody has something to bring to the table. And that's amazing that you're focusing upon that we all in this way can share, learn, and grow together. So that's really amazing.
Definitely. So what would you be your superpower, if I can ask you?
My superpower, so that, like you mentioned, awesome sauce, I would say like that each one person goes ahead and teaches people not just 10, but as many as they want together. Because I've always believed this thing that education is the strongest weapon when it comes to change the world. So even if they have anything inside them that they want to share, they should go ahead, and because little knowledge is a very dangerous thing. You should keep on sharing at the same time learning. So I think I would do the magic, share. Okay. Now the person is going to share.
You are amazing. I love that. Definitely. A little special magic wand, ding, and it's like ding, all that. So,
thank you.
I love it. Yes. No, thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, so we've been discussing about superpowers, and you have been showering that on your students as well. So how do you give your students and professional options for choice during the classes, along with professional development of them?
Wow. First, we have to find our why and our purpose. Here's a material. But why do we have to read this story? Or why do we have to do this math when I already know how to do this way, and so forth. So we have to find that why and that purpose. Well, we're reading this story because this and this and this, or the purpose of this on our agenda. I have an agenda, and I always write what we're going to do, so that way the students know exactly what is expected of them. These are our daily expectations. So what is the reason behind that? Set our goals. How are we and include our students in there to go ahead and build a collaborative goal. And it's not my goal. It is not Miss Polo's goal, the teacher. It is our goal as a family, as a community. And I use those words a lot, and again, this is first grade, and they'll look at me and say, well, you're not my mom. She's not my sister, or he's not my brother, whatever. And I said, no, not biologically. However, think about it. We spend 7, 8, 9 hours a day together, Monday through Friday, in our home. This is our home. And then, so we know how to take care of it, keep our desk organized and things like that. But there has to be a reason behind it. Because once I know the reason behind it, then I'm going to make a better connection to it and take ownership for it. And then I say, okay, well, this is true. Or maybe I disagree. That's okay. So we learn how to agree to disagree and have that collaborative conversation, and to know that there's different forms of doing that, and to create and present different things and produce a product with the same goal and objective. However, there's different ways of doing that. Maybe a student would like to draw. Maybe a student would like to use some form of technology or make a video or a game or an actual 3D model. The little ones, they love to build and things like that, or make stickers, or they're very crafty, or have students that make birthday crowns, or little bracelets, whatever the case may be. But that's their story. That's their narrative. That's their ownership. And so we take that strength and we go ahead and we build from that. Of course, being flexible in the process. Safety is number one. We're going to make sure everyone is safe. And then if an idea comes up, okay, well, how can we make this work or not? Because there's also, we do a lot of speech and debate in our class also, and a lot of presentations. So what's the pros for this, or what are the cons for that, whatever the case may be, and tie a lot of body to it, a lot of body movement to it, so they can actually make a connection. A lot of dancing. I like to dance. I like to sing, personally. And of course, there are going to be some students who don't like dancing or don't like singing. And that's okay. We find other ways to interact. Maybe they would like to draw, the outcome. Okay, well, let's go ahead and do that. Or maybe they want to build. I have Legos and stuff in the classroom. They want to build it. Here you go. Let's do this together. As long as we're safe and we're collaborating together, then you know what? We can go ahead and empower, each other in that way. So at the end of the day, it's about finding that why and that purpose, and that will drive everything else and lead you, to success, or to your little magic wand, like you say. So, all done.
That, I must say, is really persuading. Like, you always have the why and the purpose of doing something in the classroom, and then excuse me, students have daily expectations of what they're expected to do today and what they can expect from you. And, students are you're helping them to build their collaborative goals. And then you all as a classroom are going ahead as a family, so you can make a better connection. And then I really love that you mentioned about, which you disagreed, like doing, the pros and cons of an idea, that how this can work. And I really love that, you can draw and build the outcome, because, when we are able to imagine that, then, the actual making process also becomes really interesting, and students do that with more passion. And that's how, when they're collaborating in a safe environment, then they also know how they can empower their friends and empower their family and empower anybody that they meet in their life.
That's definitely important. Yes, I love to see that when they have this firework moment, right? And then they're like, "Oh, wait, look what I did!" And they're excited to share with their friend, or with me, or take it home. And they'll ask me, "Can I please take this home?" And I'll say, "Hold on, because we're still not finished." "Oh no, but I really want to show my mom." So then what I do is I'll take a picture, and then I will go ahead and send it. We use a platform called Class Dojo, which is just a form of communication, and students can build their portfolios on there as well, and things like that. We also use Microsoft Teams and so forth. So I will take that and I will go ahead and share it with them. I say, okay. And then it's like, then again, going back to being heard and being seen. Then they say, oh, okay, now I feel better. You took a picture, you sent it to my family. They know what I did. Now I can go ahead and build, the next piece tomorrow, or finish it, whatever the case may be, tomorrow. So just having, all those little connections and different ways of doing it too, right? Because that's important. Everybody's a different kind of learner. For example, absolutely. I'm a visual person. Mm-hmm. And I have to see it. I have to write it. I have to color it. I have to post it. I have to cut it. I have to paste it and put it all together. However, if I have an auditory learner here, that's not going to work for that person, and that's okay. So we have to present that, in different modalities to be able to, reach. And if it doesn't happen, then guess what? We're going to do it again. We're going to try it again tomorrow. Let's just take a breather. It didn't work, and that's okay. We were going to try it again tomorrow. And then it's funny because the students will tell me, "Oh, Miss Polo, do you need a moment?" I said, "Yes, I need a grounding moment." And then, of course, when I first tell them what the word grounded is, they're thinking like I'm punished, right? I said, no. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this. And then we learn how to use a dictionary, and actually like an actual dictionary, not look it up on the internet. I have actual dictionaries, and they learn, I started that from the first day of school, ABC order and so forth, things like that. Then they look up the word and they're like, oh, so it's a multiple meaning word. Yes. And it also means this, and then that's when I started teaching them about our little grounding station in the corner, and then they can go there, only one person at a time, or sometimes, right, because it happens, we might have a conflict in a group of students, right, in a group of children. To them is important, so I also have to make it important and say, all right, we're gonna go to the grounding station and we're gonna figure this out together and talk about it. And then we go through that whole talking process, problem solving. What if this? What if that? Own it. If I said something wrong, what happens? And we take it from there, So providing all that flexibility, that understanding, and understanding how the child mind works. At whatever age, whether you're talking to the little ones, when we go see our pre-K friends, that they're 3 or 4 year olds, or even when we work with our big buddies, our students that are in 8th grade, which those students are like about 12, 13, 14 years old. And, just having them pair up and teach each other. I love to sit there and watch a child or a group of children teach another set of their peers. That it just gives me so much happiness, because the conversation,
Awesome
and
sauce.
Exactly, awesome sauce, and their purpose is right there. And it's just, there's just so much empowerment there. There really is, and it just makes me happy. It really does.
That's amazing. Yeah. And it has been an honor for me to, have you on my podcast and listen to you today. So in the end, I would just like to ask you that where can we find you online? And we'd also love to have a message from you to the audience watching us right now.
Well, thank you, my friend. You are truly inspiring. Thank you for this brave space, for having me here tonight for me, early for you. And thank you for listening and having, my voice be heard. I greatly appreciate that. And I see your hard work. Always continue to be awesome sauce and shine your magic, because we need more Namyas. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And the best place will probably be to find me is at Elizabeth_Polo number 5, which is at ELIZABETH_POLO and the number 5. And on Twitter, that would be the best way for us to communicate and to chat and to continue our conversation, because that's important. And I would like to leave you with 2 little thoughts, if I may. One is from the amazing Shirley Chisholm, and she says, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring your own. That's how powerful that is. Have you ever heard that quote?
Yes.
Yes, you see, that's a powerful quote. So I am the person bringing my own chair and putting it there and opening it up and having my seat, because it's important. And I bring chairs for anyone else who may need it as well. And my second thought that I would love to leave us is to let's continue to do the hard work. Doing that hard work together, because everyone is truly awesome sauce every single time. And I appreciate that. I see the entire EDU community that includes students and parents and families and extended families and educators, administrators, workers in the cafeteria, our custodians, our bus drivers, our higher administration, everyone working together for the collective whole for the same reason. So every child has a seat at the table, as well as every educator. It's important to listen, because we have our voices are also important to continue to empower every single student that comes into our home. So thank you, beautiful Namya, for this beautiful and awesome sauce evening for me. And I just can't wait to see your continued manifestation, my friend. Truly
Thank you
powerful.
so much. Thank you. And listening to today just reminded me of this quote that teaching kids to count is fine, but teaching them what counts is the best, and that truly defines you in the best way, and that truly is awesome sauce.
Thank you. That is a powerful quote. You're absolutely correct. Yes. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you so much, Miss Elizabeth, for being on my podcast. And thank you so much, everyone, for listening to this episode. And I'll see you on the next one. Till then, each one, teach 10. Have a nice day.